Hey there! Welcome to the January 8th episode of Hiker Homily, and that would be episode number 2 of this new vlog type of series that I'm doing. And welcome to rainy California. Last couple of days we have had steady, I wouldn't call it hard rain, but consistent rain. How do you like that? Consistent. But I mean steady. I mean all night last night raining. Yeah, we're getting a lot of water. That's pretty good because that usually translates to snow up in the Sierras, and that'll translate to good water sources for a while in the summer. I don't know if we're looking at another snow apocalypse like we had last year in the Sierra. Last year, after several years of drought, all of a sudden the Sierras were just covered in snow late into the season. I even went on a short trip. I did a little hiker report on it, and there were still large snow drifts, especially on the north faces, of course, back in the northern parts of the Sierra in August when I was out there. So, wow. I don't know if we're looking at that this year, but now for 2018, we're definitely finally getting some rain, and that's a good thing. So, Hiker Homily number 2. Here we are. Yeah, and I realize there's quite a few sections of the country, including parts of the South, that are dealing with just weird, much worse than just showers. We're having regular showers here, but holy mackerel. There's parts of the country right now that are under major feet of snow and dealing with all kinds of crazy weather. So hang in there, everybody. Hiking season hopefully will be here soon, and we'll get this weather cleared. We'll see how it goes. But for now, let's move on with Hiker Homily number 2. I did that last time too. I did this. Yeah, that's not 1. That's 1. That's not 2. That's 4. Here's 2. So Hiker Homily number 2. Here we go. So one real thing I wanted to cover semi-briefly, because I'm going to do an actual hiking report on it. But full disclosure, I'm hurting. The pain. Help me. Yeah, Saturday I went out for the first time with the Central Valley Hiking and Backpacking Club. Good folks in that group. Really enjoyed it. But let me tell you what, it was an enlightening hike. Let me say that. Enlightening in a way because it showed me just how much more conditioning this fat butt needs to do. Holy mackerel. For those of you who have been following the channel, you know last year in November I did a 20-mile hike. 20 miles with the Boy Scouts. And really the only recover I needed there was my feet. My feet were sore. It wasn't agony, but they were sore after 20 miles, stuff like that. But everything else was fine. Okay, this hike on Saturday was only 9 miles only. For some people, I know that's a pretty good distance, right? Other people, 9 miles, whatever. 9 miles, so definitely not 20. And my legs are so hurting. Because the big difference between, aside from the distance, the big difference was this hike at Stevens Trail was 9 miles total. It's an out and back trail. So 4.5 miles out, 4.5 miles back, you get a total of 9. The only thing is the 4.5 miles out is an approximately 1,700 foot drop in elevation. And so you're doing lots of downhill. I mean, the trail goes a little bit like that, but for the most part, you're doing this. Even when you're on the way out to the end of the trail, even when you have a little bit of an uphill, you're going to have to go down even further. And so you're dropping about 1,700 feet of elevation in 4.5 miles, and that kind of downhill really works the legs, right? Okay, well, for those of you who know what that means, if it's an out and back trail, and you've gone out downhill 4.5 miles, you have to come back uphill that same 4.5 miles. Yeah. So that's what it was. 1,700 feet up to get out. And holy mackerel. I was definitely, full disclosure, I was the last one of the group in. I really appreciated one of the group, Dave, to hang with me and wait for me in the parking lot for me to get my butt finally in there. But I did it. I did the whole thing. And let me tell you what, these next couple of days, I am paying for it. My legs are still sore. It's Tuesday morning. My legs are still sore. Definitely not as bad. Yesterday, they were just, oh my gosh. It was crazy. I dreaded having to get up out of a chair because my legs were going to scream at me. Today, it's better. I can get up and there's soreness there, but it's not debilitating. Or yesterday, I didn't even want to move. I just wanted to just stay in my, and Sunday was So yeah, but I got to tell you, great trail. Despite the fact that it beat the crap out of me, and by the time I got to the parking lot, it had handed me my butt. It was a cool trail, really neat stuff there. You'll see, I'm going to put more details on the hiker report, but just a lot of cool stuff there. It goes into a gorge. The North Fork of the American River is running by down at the bottom of this gorge, and you're pretty much going down towards that. We ended up anyway at the looked like the end of the trail. 4.5 miles in, we ended up pretty close to the water. So you start up at the trailhead up by Interstate 80 near the town of Colfax, and you go all the way down this gorge to within about 20 feet of the river. I mean, we just kind of were looking down at the river for lunch. It was really nice. And then you got to climb back out again. Yeah. So 9 miles, that was really cool. I got to tell you what, though, I got to rethink my strategy sometimes, because after taking 2.5, about 3 weeks off, and I mean off, I wasn't even walking, let alone hiking anywhere, to just all of a sudden jump into that one, wow, that really pushed me. But you know what? Great trail. You'll see it on the hike report when I get it edited. A lot of cool stuff, a lot of fun. I will definitely want to go back there because there's a few more things I'd like to explore. But really cool. That's Stevens Trail just outside of Colfax, California, Northern California. Good stuff. And wow, it handed it to me. So I got to get myself in better condition so the next time I hit that trail, it's not beating me up as bad. So I want to cover the hiker topic for this week that I wanted to talk about is basically motivation. Why do and I can't speak for anybody else to be quite honest. I can only speak for myself. So why do I go out? Why is hiking the big thing for me? Why do I enjoy it? What got me into it? Why do I keep trying to do it? What's the big deal? And I will dare say that for some people, my reasons will also be their reasons. It's going to be similar. They're hiking for some of the similar things. Everybody has their own real reasons and motivations for doing what they do, so I can't speak for them. But I do know from talking to people that my motivations match some other people who hike and things like that. For me, and I'm not going to tell the full story, maybe one of these times on one of these vlogs I will tell the whole story about the first backpack trip I ever went on. But I went to, as I've said before in other updates, I went to an environmental education summer camp. The summer after my 8th grade year. I wasn't quite happy about going, but it turned out to be a happy thing. I ended up loving it and going back several times. Ended up being on staff of that camp for a summer. So it was a great experience, and that's where I first tried backpacking for the first time. Now I had heard of backpacking, and it sounded like an amazing adventure to me. So yeah, when this camp offered backpack trips, I had to go on it. And let me tell you, I was just a starry-eyed. I was like this.
Bilbo, where are you off to? Don't stop, I'm already late. Late for what? I'm going on an adventure.
Yep. I'm going on an adventure. And like I said, I'm not going to go into details for now. I might tell the whole story. But this particular backpack trip, wow. Yeah, pretty much almost everything. Fortunately, not the most serious stuff, But almost anything that could go wrong on a backpack trip went wrong on this backpack trip. Okay? And yet I still thought it was amazing. Okay? I suffered that night. It was only a one-nighter. I suffered that night. I was cold. I was wet. It was ridiculous. But it was indeed an adventure as far as I was concerned. And I was hooked with backpacking despite the fact that my first backpack trip was a catastrophe. But, excuse me. So for my own self, that's just part of it. It's although it has become quite popular, and it was fairly, because we're talking back in the early 80s and all the way through. I really got into it all the way through the 80s and into the 90s. It was fairly popular then, but it's gotten extremely more popular by now and things like that. But it is still kind of a niche hobby for various reasons. Because it is one of those hobbies where you just kind of have to have a certain amount of gumption to just strap everything on your back and walk out into the backcountry. But see, that's part of the appeal for me, is the fact that not everybody wants to do it, not everybody can do it. I don't want to call that an elitist attitude, because I don't consider myself better than the people who don't want a backpack. I just think it's cool that it's just something that a particular group just likes to do, not because those people are better, but because those people have the same frame of mind as me. How's that? It's just neat to have like-minded folks out there in the backcountry for the most part. I mean, we're all individuals. We all have our own little nuances and tweaks and perks and things like that. But for the most part, most backpackers, trail folks, they have a similar attitude and things. It's just kind of cool. So yeah, that the hiking for me, I got out there because it is an adventure of a sort. I'm not going to over dramatize things. I mean, it's not like, you're a Donner Party type of thing going out there every time you go out. But are there risks? Absolutely, and that's part of the thrill of it. Anytime you go out, even if it's not that far out, you're out there beyond the immediate reach of first response aid and things like that. No matter where you go, even if it's only for a few miles, you are out far enough that it's going to take longer for any kind of assistance to get to you, and so there's risks involved with that. And so there's a little thrill there. But for me, it's kind of hard to explain other than, and it sounds kind of cliche, maybe even a little hippie-ish, but just nature just jazzes me. It's just amazing to be out there into places where the only other people you see are the people who are like you, who dare to just strap their stuff on your back and go out there and stay. You know what I mean? There's no hustle and bustle out there. You don't, unless you bring it with you. It just isn't out there like that. It's different from, even small town living. You're out in the back country, and you're kind of doing your thing, either with friends or on your own. And there is just an amazing thrill to that, and just an awe in nature that it's just really cool to absorb. It energizes me. It really does. And so there's the main motivation right there. Even that first backpack trip, that was, as you recall. Even that first backpack trip, I came back just energized, just from being out there. And we didn't, it was an overnighter from a camp, and we were all, junior high age, just barely freshmen and high school age kids. And most of us not experienced backpackers, and so the staff didn't take us very far. But we were out there in the Sierras, and it was cool. It was an adventure, and it was energizing. It was jazzing. It just, boom. So, and it just, the more you do and the further out you get, you realize that, man, not many people have seen this view, and there's some amazing views out there. But when you're way in the backcountry, that just becomes more and more. It's exponential. The further out you get, the less other people have seen the view you have earned to see, because that's part of the thing too, is you feel good because you've earned it. I'm seeing this view because I just climb this dang ridge behind me. Holy mackerel. I just came up 2,000 feet in this many miles, and now I'm rewarded with this view. And for some people, that wouldn't be a reward. They're tortured. Climb up that ridge to see this? No thanks. I'll take a picture, or have somebody take a picture for me. You know, but for me, no. Doing it in person, it's amazing, and that's really why I got into it. It just feels good to be out there, to be walking. Most of the people you meet are just great people who are like-minded, amazing people, and it's just so much fun. And like I say, it's hard not to sound like an elitist, because it's not what I mean. But it's just one of those types of hobbies that certain people get into it and some don't. And the ones who do, that's it. They're the ones who can share those kinds of views. Everyone else doesn't get to see that unless it's through a camera lens or something. And I'm happy to go out there and take pictures and share that with people. If that's the only way they can share it, that's fine. Like I say, it doesn't make anyone better. It's just they're different-minded people, and it's cool to be out there. And that's hiking for me. That's, you know, I really love nature. I'm awed by nature. I am charged by nature. It just gives me energy to be out there. It just feels good to say, I did that. See this hell area here? I walked that. That's one of the reasons why I'm trying to get into through hiking, because there's even more of that. There are so many points on some of the big trails where you can literally stand on a ridge and say, by the end of today, I'm going to be all the way across. I can even see the trail in some parts. I'm going to be all the way across this huge valley on top of that ridge by the end of today. That's going to be amazing. And then you do it. You freaking do it. And you stand on the other ridge and you look back. I was there. At the start of the day, I was way back there, that many miles away. And, you know, that's cool. It's an energizing thing, and it's really cool to be able to do that. And that's why I got into hiking. Basic one. Yes. Awesome. All right, so that's Hiker Homily for the week of January 8th, 2018. I did want to put out there that I am completely open to feedback. I know on the YouTube channel I do not have that many more than 20 followers or something like that. I haven't looked at the number 100%, but I'm right around 20. But I know that I also copy these over to Facebook, and I see more people watching there. I've got almost 200 folks following me on Instagram. And so any of you, feel free to share pictures, my site, and things like that. Spread the word. I'd love to have more subscribers. Not really trying to drum money out of it. I don't expect to make money off of my YouTube channel and stuff, but I just think it's fun to share. And usually the people who tune into stuff like this, they're like-minded folks, and I love interacting with like-minded folks and things like that. So, as far as feedback, though, I am completely open to feedback. Please feel free to contact me. There are various ways. You can get a hold of me at hikingforhealthca@gmail.com. So that's one way. And any kind of certain types of feedback, if you're asking me questions or something like that, I will try to put a segment here in Hiker Homily every week to answer some of those questions and things. If there's a certain topic you want to see me cover, last week I covered Hike Your Own Hike and how that is sometimes misused or overused, but there is a purpose for it. And just this week on one of the backpacking forums I'm on Facebook, we had a person come in and ask a very simple question, and it was basically, yes, that's how you use Hike Your Own Hike. You can certainly do it that way. You don't have to do the through hikes in this manner. You can do them in this manner. And sure enough, some person jumps in there, hey, you're not really through hiking, or you're not living life right if you just can't take 5 months off out and do it. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever. I might get into that later, because that's what I call hiker elitism. And as far as I'm concerned, that's what HIO, Hike Your Own Hike, was developed to prevent. Hiker elitism. No, not everybody has to do everything the way you do it. And yes, they are a real backpacker. Just because they don't backpack this trail in 5 months, maybe they do it a month at a time over 3 or 4 years, then so be it. They're still a backpacker, and they're a darn good backpacker as far as I'm concerned. That doesn't make him any less. But see, there's people out there with that attitude, and it's just ridiculous. So see, before I get on to a rant, I might save that for another Hiker Homily. But I covered that last week. This week we talked a little bit about motivations, my personal motivations anyway, for hiking, what got me into hiking, why. If there are certain I have a whole list of topics I want to hit, but just in case I missed any, if there are any topics that you think would be interesting to hear an old school backpacker who is, after a break of a little over a decade, getting back into backpacking, if you want to hear what I think about certain topics and things like that, then let me know. Again, there's the email that I gave you. You can also get a hold of me on Instagram, Hiking for Health CA. And here on YouTube, there's a comment section. Go ahead and leave comments there. Any kind of questions, feedback, any improvements you think I can do. Bear in mind that this is not a professional situation here that I'm in. I am literally doing everything with a little. It came with the computer editing program. I have an old GoPro. I have a Hero 3. That's how old my GoPro is, and things like that. And that's pretty much what I'm running the channel on. Is just that kind of equipment, and just, you know, seat of your pants. We're just doing it. So I do not claim this to be a major professional channel. Who knows? Maybe someday things will go on, and you know, some money flow will come in, and I can up the equipment and stuff like that, and really do stuff. But for now, this is it. I mean, I'm in my home. I shoot these videos. I edit them myself. Everything's done by me. So if you're looking for, see, I even got the dogs in the background hanging out with me. If you're looking for super professional type of stuff, sorry, that's not going to happen right now unless you want to help me pay for it. This is what we got. But if there's any topics you want to hear about, let me know. Several ways to reach me there, like I've mentioned, and I'd be happy to receive feedback. Happy to see if there's any topics that I don't have on my list already to talk about and things like that, and that would be great. Appreciate it. But as always, those of you who are watching the videos, thank you so much. Always appreciate you guys that are watching, and gals. Thanks so much, and we will see you next week.